really great to be here. Right?
It is.
Awesome. Do you guys have any future DLC planned out?
Well, I think we should probably go for Shelley for this one.
Yeah.
This would be a perfect one for you, Shell.
Yeah, we do. We have Cursed Cells coming out in July, and this is our content update that's all around skeleton ships that have arrived in the Sea of Thieves. And these skeleton ships, they're going to kind of burst out of the water and be this threat for players to go after. And not only that, they're going to bring with them cursed cannonballs. So this is a new ammo type. So some of the cursed cannonballs will affect the ship. They'll do things like drop the anchor, raise the sails. Some of them will affect players. And of course, because it's Sea of Thieves, we've had fun with that. So there'll be cursed cannonballs, grog balls that can make the other crew drunk. So the skeletons are going to bring these in, and then players are going to be able to use them as well. And of course, we have the Brigantine in with that update as well. So this is our 3-player ship. So currently we have our sloop that's perfect for 1 player. We have our galleon for 4 players. And then we're bringing in our Brigantine for 3 players. And then beyond that, in September, we have Forsaken Shores coming out. So this is all about the islands being a threat to the player. So it's a new world region called the Devil's Roar, and it's volcanic activity, and it's geologically unstable, and yeah, you're going to need to prepare to go and voyage in that area.
So what, talking about ships, is this kind of from community feedback that we've decided we need a ship that came between the sloop and the galleon?
Yeah, I mean, we've heard that kind of feedback loud and clear, that sloop's a great experience, like being in this world, being a little bit paranoid, constantly being in the crow's nest, looking at the horizon. You know, tailor-made for 1 player, but 2 players can play on it. And the galleon, for 4 players, that core kind of cooperative experience. A lot of players are kind of going, well, I've got 2 friends.
Yeah.
I know, I want to play together. And we've let players play on the galleon, but that ship was really built for 4 players. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a struggle. So bringing in that ship in the middle, 2 masts, 2 decks, still feels like a big ship experience. Just tailor-made for a bunch of 3 friends together.
Great.
Yeah, and alongside, so the Forsaken Shores, the headline is obviously the volcanic region, right? We're bringing in the Rowboat as well, which is super cool. Like that's one of the things that I'm most excited about. I think it's going to add loads to the game in terms of stories and moments and stuff. And obviously, there's some other stuff that's going to be in there that we're kind of cooking up at the moment, right? So that we're really looking forward to tell people about a little bit closer to the time. So yeah, it's going to be fun, the Forsaken Shores update, I think.
So I've got a question here from Dylan Burrows, who's online, asking what plans there are for Pirate Legends.
Oh, yeah.
Mike.
So
how many Pirate Legends have we got here, actually? So yeah, wow.
That's a lot.
That is no, not you.
No,
You're not a Pirate Legend.
Yeah. So I mean, the way we want to grow this game over the next year is it's over a number of areas, because everyone, as we see, everyone's at different stages of their journey. You know, people are going to come into the game because they like the idea of battling these skeleton ships, exploring a new world region that Shelley mentioned. Or some players have been with us since launch, and they're already Pirate Legends. I think we've got, was it 5,000 Pirate Legends?
More than that.
Is it more than that now?
More, yeah.
And that's just growing every day. Our focus immediately is to bring more goals in for everyone. So you've seen that this week with the first regular event that we're running. So there's still incentives for Pirate Legends to complete those, but we know that we can't neglect our Pirate Legends very long. As more people get there, the gameplay on offer for Pirate Legends needs to be expanded, so that will happen as well. But we're ensuring that we're expanding the goals for everyone, but also for Pirate Legends.
Yeah, and it's been amazing to see the engagement. Like it's like literally 91 million hours so far of gameplay, which is about an average of 22 hours per player, which is pretty epic, I think. But we've had one player, I think, that's hit 1,400 hours, with a bunch more over 1,000. But it's like, impressive. I don't even think the game's been out that long. Like, so, but genuinely amazing, honestly. So it's been so great to see the reception and to see people latch on to what's so special about Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the room? Another question? Hey.
Hey, thanks for taking your time to come out here, first of all. I've played countless hours with my friends and whatnot, and we love the game, absolutely. There's one kind of thing that's been bothering us, though, and that's just kind of that there's not really any punishments for dying so much, like having your ship sunk. Just because, like, we'll be trying to do a skeleton for it, and we'll sink someone else's ship, and then they come back 3 minutes later, and it's kind of like it feels like either they should spawn further away, or maybe spawn with less supplies because we can kill them 3 or 4 times, but then we're out of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Mike.
Sorry, I'm straight in there. Look, we originally planned. I mean, it was quite topical in the community. The idea of it became known as the death tax, but thematically, it was the idea that the ferry captain of the ferry of the dam would take an increment of gold off you when you died. It's almost like you pay a penance on the ghost ship. we wanted to bring it in for launch. It didn't make it. And we announced that we were going to go do this, and the community really reacted quite strongly around, please don't let us not be able to take risks anymore. The idea of constantly fearing that someone's going to take your chest and your quest rewards off you, that's enough. Don't take that risk-taking away from us. But one area that we're really keen to explore throughout this year is the idea of in-session progression. The idea that you can find these things in the world that kind of enhance your experience mechanically. We've got one example of that at the moment, I guess, with the gunpowder keg. So it's a thing that you can find in the world. You don't know all the ships have it. And we're bringing in the cursed cannonballs as well, things that you can find on the ship and stock on the ship. And we're going to be expanding that area. And some of those things will naturally be lost when the ship goes down. So as you kind of explore and you build up your ship, some things will be lost when you lose the ship. So some of that feeling you're looking for, that will be introduced this year.
And we did push back the respawn distance for ships, so they'd spawn a lot
Yes.
further away when ships sink.
Yeah, exactly for that scenario, right?
Yeah. And I think we have had discussions around, like, should you lose resources, should you not, and all that. And I think we'll continue to do that and continue to look at what's the best balance, because it's an ongoing thing, right? Every time we introduce a new mechanic, like the skeleton fort was one, but when we the megalodons in the world, everything, like, you're always going to have this kind of feedback again around probably about the AI ships as well, the skeleton ships, how that drives people together, how that's going to impact it. So it's an ongoing thing, because we're basically just conducting this grand psychology experiment where we introduce features into a shared world and see how players use them, and then react and change and try and predict behavior.
But I'm from Fleet of Thieves, and a lot of the guys were asking me, is there any way that more ships will be able to queue up together? So my two friends and maybe another fleet mate has two friends. Our ships queue up in the same server. Maybe something down the line, pipes.
There's a couple of things there, isn't
Or
it, to kind of hit on that
something
topic. So do
Yeah.
you want to chat about
Yeah,
alliances?
absolutely. I mean, I guess there's kind of two elements here. There's kind of feedback around, I just want to explore the world and quest in the world and not have the threat of other real player ships. We kind of hear that feedback. That's kind of one area. And then I guess there's a bit that you're referring to, which is, I've not only got 3 friends, I've got a bunch of other friends, and there's no capability right now to get into the same server. And there's actually that awesome video on Reddit with people,
buying ships
off people by giving them chests, so a friend can join in progress on them, so they can get their friends into a session. We hear that feedback loud and clear, and giving you the option to go in almost in a ready-made alliance, or going in together in a large lobby and splitting you across multiple ships. That's something we are looking at. No immediate plans right now, but we absolutely hear you, and we will be looking at that.
Also, we've long talked about wanting to do something around being able to formalise alliances just generally in the game as well. So that is definitely something that we're looking at, a way for you to be able to formulate, and it'll be an uneasy alliance with another crew. You'll still be able to hurt each other, but a way to kind of share rewards and create an alliance.
Yeah, and that one is sooner rather than later, I think. That's really, we really want to bring that in. But I think the thing that's so special about Sea of Thieves, and that we believe in so strongly, is it's social interaction and positive social interaction and doing things that maybe other games aren't doing. And with the Hungering Deep that we brought in, we saw that, it was incredible in terms of the change of player behavior in Sea of Thieves. When you saw another ship, you weren't instantly looking to fight them. Yeah. And our telemetry from the Hungering Deep showed that actually when ships encountered other players, those encounters ending in fights actually halved. So we basically made Sea of Thieves 50% more friendly during the Hungering Deep, which is amazing, right? And we want to do more of that. We want to have more ways of players interacting in the world. And so I think, when people are like, oh, I want other crews out my world, I want to just go PvE, right? It's not what Sea of Thieves is. And our opportunity lies in creating amazing social interaction and social moments. But for those players that want to have even bigger social stuff with more players that they know and everything in the same place, that's the stuff Mike's talking about, and that's the stuff that makes us passionate. Right?
And I think Sorry, we've done it. We always talk over each other, that's I think. Well, you mentioned there around every time you add something into that kind of shared world, that melting pot, it's going to inspire different player behaviours. I'm really intrigued to find out what's going to happen when we add the skeleton ships with cursed sails. The fact that crews have now got this shared threat in the world, this common foe in the form of skeleton ships, giving people the outlet to have that fantasy moment of firing broadsides and getting into ship combat. Now another real player doesn't have to be on the receiving end, and that's still there as well, but I think that's going to kind of change the balance of how many aggressive encounters are in the world.
Damien wants to know whether we have plans for more enemy types other than skeletons, and it kind of leads on nicely from what you were just talking about. And obviously, Sheldon, with the Forsaken Shores, any plans there?
Well, I think what we wanted to do with all the expansions as we look forward is, obviously, each time we bring new features into Sea of Thieves, with each content update, those features stay in Sea of Thieves and we're just enriching the canvas. So by the time we get to Forsaken Shores in September, you've had the Megalodon, you've had the skeleton ships, you've got the skeletons that are already in the world, the sharks that are already in the world, and you've always got those other players. So our focus, like right now, and for Forsaken Shores, was on doing something different and making the environment be the threat. That's the kind of thing that excited us.
Yeah.
And I'll just jump in and say that this is a pirate fantasy world. You know, the skeletons are awesome. They're almost like our default enemy type, but we will explore absolutely more AI types beyond skeletons.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit, sorry, about the different categories of like how we structure our roadmap? Because I think that's really interesting. Because
yes, yeah. So the way we've kind of got the content planned this year, and then the 3 content releases that come in after Forsaken Shores, that we haven't really announced what's in there yet, but we've got that planned out. Someone asked it earlier. We've got the content planned out all the way to the end of the year, and as I was talking earlier about the idea of players all being at different points of their journey, it's important that we bring in content across a variety of areas. Like, content is not just content; it's got to be about the scope of content. Which areas of the game is it touching? So we've got first one, ways to play. The ways to play in Sea of Thieves will expand, and that's inclusive of quest types. So adding more quest variety to what we already have. So within those areas of treasure hunting, bounty hunting, and merchants, and also adding new play styles as part of that. You've also got new ways to play with a crew, like whether that's coming in a ready-made alliance, whether that's playing on the brigantine ships and new ship types. Then you've got goals for everyone, and goals for Pirate Legends. And lastly, we've got what we call the journey, which is everything that happens in between. So you're in this world, your ship's heading towards the horizon, you're picking a point. What's all the things that happen in between that make your session play differently? And we we break it down into threats, which we know we've just spoken about, going beyond skeletons and the skeleton ships and the Megalodon, more in that area, and then big tools and small tools. An example of a big tool would be the Rowboat. So we bring in the Rowboat with Forsaken Shores, and it makes sense in that world region because you want to anchor away from the volcanoes and row in because you want to keep your ship safe, but the whole world's going to get enriched by having the rowboat. You could pantomime in it. There'll be people using the speaking trumpet, sailing around in the rowboat, trying to be saved by other people, people using it to stock up gunpowder kegs and sneak on board skeleton ships with it. It's going to add so much emergent scenarios. So that's an example of a big tool, and we're doing more in that area. And then small tools will be kind of stuff like the speaking trumpet and more instruments, and just things in that area, the little things that players can use that's going to be, the creativity that they bring to it, they're going to get used in different ways. So effectively, that's how we're going to grow the game over the next year. It has to touch on all those areas. And the way we approach it is when we plan the content, we pretty much just note it against those areas to ensure that each content release is balanced, that it's got something for everyone.
Yeah, and the Hungering Deep was our first one, and it was the one with the shortest lead time, right? Because that team, we had a couple of weeks of launch, which was interesting in terms of everyone turning up all at the same time. Who played on launch day, by the way, Sea of Thieves? So yeah, thanks. So that was your fault. Yeah. But it was amazing. We had so many people come in and play, and so many more than we'd ever seen. And apologies for the little hiccups that we had in that period of time, but. Yeah, it was more than we'd ever been able to test for before. But once we'd kind of got through those first couple of weeks, we really just wanted to get in the front foot and bring in content forward. So we were like, we restructured our team. So they're now kind of 3 game teams that are going to be kind of leapfrogging each other across content releases, right? So the Hungering Deep had about 7 weeks of lead time. The Curse Sales has about 12, something like that. And then it's like 16, 17 for Forsaken Shores. So each time we plan these out, we're looking at how many of those categories can we get in. So the Hungering Deep had some small tools, it had the threat, and it had the kind of new rewards and stuff in there. Yeah. But then the Curse Sales brings in a bit more across there, and we're trying to just fill in as much of these as possible as we go. So we're also spinning up a 4th team right now that's going to be starting in July. And that means that they're going to be kind of delivering our end-of-year kind of content update. So they've got about 5 months to deliver that. So it's the reality of games development is that the more time you have to leading up to something, the more stuff you're going to get. So we're trying to get into this rhythm of 4 teams, and ideally delivering every 6 to 8 weeks. I'd love 6. Like the dev team probably wants 8 or probably wants more. But it's the reality of kind of where we can get to. But that's the goal. And if we can deliver like content updates that have had 3, 4, 5, even 6 months of working every 6 to 8 weeks. That's going to be an incredible position for everyone in the community, because like this game's just going to keep getting richer, and it's going to keep having more ingredients that just lead to amazing stories.
Yeah. Anyway, on the front, you look very eager, sir.
Thank you. I love the music. I love the talk of adding more instruments. Is there also talk of adding more songs and maybe choosing your songs and not a sequence or random song list?
Yeah, I mean, going live. It is Thursday today, right? It's
Yeah, it's
Thursday.
today.
Yeah,
I think it's
now, I think.
Yeah, so Merrick Shanty, so the character, the kind of shanty that character introduced for the Hungry and Deep, that shanty is now available to just play. So everyone's now got that in the playlist. Adding more songs, and I think the idea of shanties being something that you earn in the game or you share with other people, and we've got different shanties. We've always loved that idea. I mean, there's nothing immediately planned around that, but it's always been one of our favourite mechanics. Like the instruments are cool. It's so uniquely Sea of Thieves, and you having a shanty I don't have, but I can harmonise with you on it. We love that idea, so we will definitely explore that area.
Yeah, I think we are working on music streaming. I could be wrong. It's done, is it?
I hope it's done.
Okay, great. I don't know what's going on. I'm just the EP, so.
I believe it's done.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we've got music streaming, which allows us the ability to then add more, because we had a kind of memory limit in terms of the amount of songs we could have. So we did some engine work there, so it does enable that basically.
But also using music in unique and interesting ways, like you carried the shanty in the Hungry and Deep, right? Like that's the kind of thing we want to do more of as well.